All right. I am not. Is this working? You guys, I'm using a new software. So if you're here, if you found me, say hi in the chat room so I can see. Welcome, everybody, to our special talk for my fellow sensitives. We have some cool strategies. I want to thank you for the questions that you submitted because I'll be getting to those in a little bit, but there's some basic points that I want to go over today. Spirit was talking to me about some enemies of the sensitives, so I want to get through some of those. So let me know, say hi to me in the chat room if you are here, if you found me. I'm not. Is this I see some of you guys coming in. That's awesome. Hi. Hi, Gail and Gnome. Lisa Jones. Hi, Lisa. Oh, I see some good friends here. Friends and new faces. So it's good to see y'all. I love that you're here with me. So, kind of have a bit of a fierce talk coming. And if you haven't seen me speak live, please know that there can and may be some cussing, some F bombs. Spirit doesn't seem to mind when I get all riled up and passionate. And this happens to be one of those topics I'm really passionate about. Um, so welcome, welcome. And thank you guys for joining me on a Monday morning. You know, Mondays are hard. Um, so let me know in the chat room why you guys are coming to this. And I also want to know, do you consider yourself a sensitive? Different words for that. There's empaths. People can identify as empaths. And some people are really just kind of waking up to the fact that they may be extraordinarily sensitive or even becoming more sensitive. How many of you feel like you're becoming even more sensitive over time? And boy, is it not the best time on the planet to be extra sensitive, or you might think it's not, but it actually is. Uh, Quite the medicine for us right now. And let me just check in the chat room here. Hi, guys. Oh, good to see you. So, many of us might feel like being as sensitive as we are is more of a curse than a blessing. But, you know, Spirit wanted me to kind of drive home the fact that your sensitivity is not a mistake. And when we really learn to embrace our sensitivities and learn how to work with it, because if you don't actively learn how to work with it will work with you sometimes, not in the best way. So I didn't know uh, that my level of sensitivity was actually extraordinary compared to the average person, I would say. I remember when I was younger, I would cry every single day. Sometimes I didn't know why. And it wasn't because I was depressed necessarily, but I was just feeling everything and everyone. And I didn't realize that that's what was happening. So I internalized a lot of these feelings as my own. But a lot of you who struggle with the emotions often aren't even truly feeling your own emotions. You might just be feeling the grief or the discomfort on the planet. And uh, the Mother Earth actually is the first ally that came through to really want to say to you that what she showed me is that from the roots, like from the earth itself, there's like this rattling going on, this rattling from our roots, from our bodies. And it's in a way can make us more sensitive, um, more porous, more heartbroken, I guess is the best way to say it. But she's rattling us, shaking us around in a way, not to torture us, but to enliven us, to take us out of our dead state, our corpse-like state, and to bring us back to life. Because all beings, all babies are born with sensitivity. That's why you have to treat them so delicately. Um, and the sensitivity has been, in a way, knocked out of us. When we live in the systems that we live in, there's not a lot of room for empathy. When the system is stacked in a way where not everyone is winning, you know, homelessness, starvation, and not just in our country, but around the world. So our system, in a way, teaches us how to make it the other people's problems. Oh, well, they should have worked harder, um, or they're just lazy. And so for generations, we have actually been indoctrinated to lose sensitivity so that we will allow those in power to engage their assault upon the people, we the people. And so I want to lay that as a foundation for why your heart, your alive heart, is quite sacred. And it's exactly the medicine that the planet needs right now. So I want you to really take that in, because when you think about sensitive folks, folks who have not lost their capacity for empathy, those of us who don't turn a blind eye when we see people struggling, even if they're not quote unquote our own people, those of us with activated hearts have a desire to support, to help, and also to protect the vulnerable and the innocent. So, how many of you agree with that, right? Agree that you need, there's a desire in you to do something about it, to do something about these systems that we find ourselves in that really are stacked against certain people. And for those people where the system is not stacked against, even those people are also really sensitive. We are truly the majority, but there's some things that, there's some enemies, if you will, that have prevented us, the majority, stepping up into our deeper power and actually creating the change that we in our hearts know we need to see on the planet. Because the reason why people like you and I don't want to cause harm to others is because we can actually feel it. We can feel and we know when something is wrong. Okay. And I see a lot of you agreeing with me. And let's just say that we're not here to point fingers at those who happen to have a little more privilege than we do, because I know a lot of those people and they are exactly as horrified as those of us who weren't given all the privileges, like our skin color or the gender or the wealth that we needed to survive in a system that is like our own. So Mother Earth is actually waking us up, those of us who are willing to listen and to feel the pain. Um, she's not doing it. It's not happening to torture us. It's happening to help engage us a little bit more. But one of the things that happens is that we kind of, because of the pain, we want to collapse because we don't have proper elders to show us how to convert the sensitivity into power, into activation, and uh, and literally make the world uh, as we see, from that we know is capable, if we're all moving from the heart and we've unindoctrinated ourselves from this coldness that we were taught. And, you know, when I say generation, we've been taught for generations, I mean this literally. When you think about, just let's just look at colonization or slavery, those things required the people to lose empathy for their fellow siblings so that they could be the hands, the extensions of the rulers the kings or the popes that exclusively wanted to take resources from other lands. And so how they did that was to create false enemies, right? Um, to call others the enemies of Christ. And a lot of the sensitives were included in that. The mystics, the sensitives, those that had their own unique connection to spirit, to power, to the real heart pulse, those that were still connected to nature and who understood the real medicines of nature, those people were demonized and shunned. And this is why so many sensitives are still in the closet and still feel ashamed about their sensitivity because we were taught even as young people. We were like I was shamed by crying every day, right? Um, I was shamed from showing my sensitivity because it's become equated with weakness, and it is exactly the opposite of weakness. The reason why they had to scrub the sensitivity out of so many of our siblings is because those of us with awake hearts are not easily manipulated. We're not easily seduced by what do I want to brainwashed by the ruling powers. Okay, so we know that enslavement is wrong, right? So we did not, those in charge had to scrub that out of us and teach us that killing was okay on behalf of the king and the church. Okay, so I hope you're following me as far as just that really simple thing, a horrific thing. But as far as our history goes, because we are an extension of this history, and if we don't acknowledge that we are an extension of it, we cannot rise and fight that, because it's not something of the past, it's still happening. And the same powers are still going after vulnerable and innocent people. Right now, just for instance, they are going after our LGBTQ plus people, the trans folks, they're going after the brown folks at the borders, and they're doing the same game that they've done for years, for generations, to help weaponize the people to do their bidding, even if it harms the people and our fellow siblings and actually harms our own needs and choices. We all know fundamentally that all people have the right to be fed. All people should have the right to health, medical care, all of these things. Those of us with awake hearts are really freaking traumatized by the fact that there are still children starving in our country, let alone other countries. We actually have the resources to feed the whole world. But why don't we? It's because of the dead hearts. And it's because of those of us with awake hearts, we step away because it just seems too big, too much for us. But the more that we collapse and let the pain um, pull us back as opposed to help us stand stronger together, the more that we let those old agendas keep punking us. So let us just be on the same page now as I talk about the weapons, okay, or the enemies that have been atrociously um, uh, used against folks like us to make us shy about our sensitivity and about how we feel, okay? And I just want to acknowledge our brothers out there, those of us who inhabit the male body and identify as men, because there are just as many sensitive men out there as there are females, okay? But those guys have been even more shamed to show their empathy, okay? Because guys, men are indoctrinated to be strong and do the thing and go to war and do this stuff on behalf of the kings, of course. But but I just want to acknowledge for those men who are listening, I hear you, I see you, and I'm so sorry also for the extra that you have to go through in order to rock your own version of love and sensitivity and heart. And I hope that you give yourself the courage and the power to cry out loud, um, in front of others on behalf of all of us, um, because we love it. And I mean, I personally love it. And we all, I think, need to see these tears as strength for all of us. So let's just talk a little bit about this escalation of sensitivity and how it is the medicine that is required right now, even though it does feel like shit for most of us because what we're seeing on the planet is so far away from what we know is possible when we really recognize each other as siblings. Okay, some of us are tricky siblings. Some of us are fucking annoying siblings, but we're siblings nonetheless. And when we see each other as family, the way our hearts really want to, because our hearts really know that that's in fact what we are, the earth is one place and it gives birth and rise to amazing, beautiful people. But uh, but we all have to step into that role of really allowing yourself to see all of us as siblings so that we can protect the vulnerable and innocent from the tyrants and the tyrannical causes and agendas that are happening on the planet. Um, Now, there's a variety of different ways that we have been indoctrinated to believe that we're the weak ones, when really we have always been the strong ones. We have always been the ones leading the social movements, the front lines of the big social movements to bring more love, connection, compassion, and equity uh, to those that are oppressed or subjugated. And when we look at some of really the dominant leaders that we think about, or religious figures that we think about, let's talk about the Jesus, right? You know, so some of you identify with the brother Jesus, and some of you have feelings about that religion. All is welcome. But when we look at the life and the teachings of Jesus, Jesus was also a fucking rebel, so sensitive and outraged uh, when it came to supporting subjugated people. He was enraged by the religious zealots, as many of us are right now. And when you look at all of the greats, the leaders of or the people who originated, the mystics essentially, who originated some of these religions, and sorry, then 100 years, 500 years later, then man hijacks the original teachings and manipulates them to control the people. Yeah, sorry about that. But we have to be able to see past that and actually look at what's being taught by some of these beautiful guides and leaders and teachers that we've had around the world, and this includes our indigenous elders that have made quite an impact and whose teachings have survived and are still surviving if we learn how to look for the right kind of teachings and teachers that speak on the medicine of the planet, of the earth, and allyship with the spirit world. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about some of these enemies. I'm also going to answer your questions because they're so badass. For thank you so much for those of you who filled in your questions. We're going to be answering those as well. Um, One of the images that came through was an animal ally, a great spirit ally of mine. Um, and she came in the form of a big black kitty, like a puma or a mountain lion. And you know, when we think about the big kitties, or kitties if you have a cat at home, or you've been had the great honor and respect of having an animal, a feline ally in your household at some point in your life, they teach you everything you need to know technically about what a sensitive does, because they're sensitive. That's why they're not needy, right? They're like, "Okay, I will approach you I if your vibes are right. If your vibes aren't right, I'm gonna keep my distance, and by the way, I don't really need anything from you. I don't need your validation. I could actually give 0 fucks, about how you feel about me, but I like you, so welcome you into my space. So, cats will show the sensitives how to remain sensitive with boundaries, right? And also how to release your sensitivity. Because if something threatening crosses a cat's space, often they're not just going to be passive. They're not going to wag their tail and be like, okay, do you like me? Do you? They don't give a fuck. So they're just going to hiss. They're going to claw. I mean, I've seen my cats. I have an 80-pound dog in my house. My cats walk into the room and all they have to do is do one little posture. And my dog, who's super macho, backs down. Okay. So this ally that's coming forward to us, when you think about the kitties, the big kitties, you know, they know how to hunt, they know how to stalk, they know how to remain silent, but they also know how to be fierce when the time is right. So, this ally gives us permission to do a lot of the things that we weren't allowed to do. So, let me talk about some of the indoctrination real fast. The weapon that's been used against us is by telling us to remain silent. They taught us that gossip was a bad thing. Okay, that's only a recent convention. That's only been like in the last, I think, 400, 500 years, where the leaders of the church and the leaders realized, oh shit, the people are going to find us out if they talk too much to each other. So let's just make it a rule that it's unrighteous to gossip so we can get away with a lot of tyrannical shit, including sexual predatory stuff, taking advantage of the congregation, robbing them of their wealth, these kinds of things. So if you are someone who does not like to cause a stir, who, oh, in the face of strife, you back down, but you're still gripped in your heart about it, that's the stuff that makes sensitive folks collapse. It's not the other people, it's our willingness to swallow the great atrocities that are happening in our space, to swallow the poison that is getting launched at us, sometimes in your own house, um, and to be the bigger person. It is our silence that wounds us more than anything. We're taught that speaking against authority was bad. We're taught that blind respect to authority figures was a good thing. That's how I was raised. And that's why a lot of people in my generation got molested, because respect your elders. Okay. So fuck a lot of respect your elders and fuck a lot of authority when it comes to the sensitive hearts, because we know better. It's just a matter of us learning how to speak in a way that we can be heard and being willing to put our necks out there, okay, to be rejected and to be um, uh, not liked. Because, by the way, cats could give a shit if you like them or not, pretty much. Okay, they're not dogs. Cats could give a shit. So we have to learn through this beautiful power image of the cat to be authentic and to not seek validation in the ways that we were taught to seek. We were taught that fitting in was the best way. This makes us collapse. This makes our hearts collapse. And let me say, the reason why I'm focusing on this collapsing that we do, this hiding that we do, is because it is your heart, it is your sensitivity that has this great, powerful pulse to help you. A lot of us are protecting our hearts. We have we have it wrong. It's our hearts that will protect us if we allow them to be bigger than anything we think is possible, to have even more compassion, more empathy, because when our heart is enraged and inflamed, it activates us. We become uh, activists in a good way. So, the weapon, of course, for this is to use your voice more powerfully, more strongly. Are you someone who does not like to cause waves? Because this is really, truly a great enemy of an empath. Because then you keep all the poison. Okay. You don't want to do that. You want to turn that poison into medicine. And how we do that is through our deep heart's wisdom and by saying it out loud, even if it sounds weird in whatever community that you're in. Self doubt. is also an enemy. We have been gaslighted to believe not to trust our instincts, not to trust what we know is true. This started when we were younger, when we were, again, taught to tolerate intolerable people. Some of them lived in our house. Okay. We were taught and shown that intolerable and sometimes violent people deserve a chance to. That was a lie. So a lot of us are still in the 6-year-old state thinking that we have to tolerate intolerable people because of whatever label they have. They could be our closest family members. They could be friends for a long time. But because the earth is shaking us too hard, we have to up level a little bit and allow ourselves to speak and set a wider territory around ourselves like a puma. Understand what lines you're drawing around your territory and who's allowed to cross those boundaries. When our instincts are turned on, and that's what's happening, our instincts were disrupted from when we were younger. We weren't allowed to have them, or else we wouldn't get fed. We wouldn't get love. Sometimes we'd just get straight up kicked out of the house if we didn't fall in line. Um, so those of us with awake hearts, we have no interest. There's no we at this stage, we none of us should be tolerating just falling in line. Falling in line is complicity with the atrocities that are happening currently on the world, and so is hiding out. So spirit is really in earth, it's really calling you out right now. I'm sorry if you're feeling attacked by Mother Earth, but the louder your heart gets, the more intolerable things that come. You know what it means? It just means it's time to take some action. Time for you to say some stuff out loud. Time for you to make some changes in your life that might be uncomfortable, but might get your territory straight. So there's nothing in your territory that's disrupting you over and over again. And here's why we need a wide berth. We need a wide berth so we can create, so we can feel into our hearts, so we can take the time to deconstruct what has been constructed. Um, and so we can produce something beautiful, whatever it is that you feel that you're here for. We need space to be able to do that. Not only space, we need safe space. So you best believe Puma is not going to be just letting any old shit cross her territory. She's not available for that. And if you happen to cross her territory, guess what the hell she's going to do? Especially if she's protecting some babies in her den. She's going to claw the shit out of that stuff. She's not going to even apologize about it. She's going to be hell to the fuck no about it. So people with sensitive hearts, we're so sensitive. We don't like to harm anybody. We feel like when we assert our boundary, we're hurting people. We're not. We're it's an act of compassion to let people know when they've gone too far. Because a lot of people don't know when they've gone too far because they don't have enough courageous hearted people saying that's too far. Okay. They might have a lot of people throwing animosity around them. That's not necessary either. Just saying, yeah, that's not cool with me. You can't get away with that here in this space. It's pretty simple because cats don't overexert themselves, if you've noticed. You know, they mostly rest, right? Super floppy, no tension in those muscles. Yeah, and this thing about another enemy, this passivity, this thing about turn the other cheek. They wanted me to talk about that, even though if you're not from a Christian faith, we have been indoctrinated with these turn the other cheek, be the bigger person. And I'm stressing this more warrior side of things when it comes to strategies to survive in a loud world. I'm stressing this because we assume that being sensitive, again, means passive. We were taught that. We were taught to be good people, okay? So much so that we've allowed so many bad things happen in our immediate circles. We haven't said anything, we haven't spoken up. But there's an invitation to never, ever allow anything that's in your midst to go on, even if it's happening to other people, right? So I have been known to break up fights between grown men because I saw a child nearby. All right. That is a new me. That is something that I never would have thought. But my heart, I mean, to me, all children are my children now. So I'm not going to sit back and let some people act a fool. I don't care if I'm half the size of these brothers, right? So there is a fight that comes along with awakened heart. Do not repress that. It, like I said, an awake heart, an active heart, a sensitive heart is fierce. Another thing that's been scrubbed out of us is creating an authentic connection with our allies. So, angels, right? I talk a lot about angels because if you're a sensitive person, you must enlist the help of invisible posse. Okay. This is not a religious ideal. This is an ancient practice that has been going on before the religions took over and started indoctrinating us, okay? All of our people, no matter which continent you're from, always called on invisible support. That's how our people knew where the buffalo were. That's how people knew how to find water. That's how we even were able to change the weather. It's through our invisible allyship in our heart's connection. Okay. Another reason why this sensitive heart is a freaking gift because you can feel, if you really practice, learn to feel and call in the support of invisible allies. And I'm telling you right now, if you didn't know this, all of your people knew this, knew that not just angels, because angels is the modern term, but invisible benevolent forces, natural forces are there to support us and to help us thrive. So, angels, hell yes. Okay. That shit works. But also, your ancestors. We've been disconnected from the ancestors again because of our indoctrination and because the elites wanted to disempower the people. Why did they attack the sensitives? It's because sensitives have real magic. Okay. We have real power when we know how to enlist the help, when we know how to read the signs of nature, when we know how to lean into the ancestral wisdom that's lodged in our bones and blood, it hasn't gone anywhere. But yeah, let's disconnect us from our family on the other side so that we feel lost and hopeless. So essentially, anything that wasn't Jesus became evil, became an enemy of Christ, and they slaughtered and committed genocide against people only to steal their resources, not because they actually believed they were evil. Now, after generations, people now believe they're evil because they don't know the history. Those are facts, people. If you like research, research the history, man. It's freaking intense. Okay, and awesome and horrifying. So it's our, again, I want to stress, it's our indoctrination that makes you feel that somehow the sensitivity is a weakness. It's your indoctrination that makes you want to hide your sensitivity as opposed to be a little more loud and uncomfortable about it. Because when you're breaking down indoctrination, it feels like you're being an asshole. You know, I used to see a lot of women in my practice, and God, they were having a hard time finding their voice. And I would say, just say no, say no, set a boundary. And I would literally say, if you feel like you're being a bitch, then you're on the right track. Okay? Speaking the truth in the beginning, the authentic truth, when you're really not just protecting the vulnerable and innocent ones outside of you, but the first step is to protect the vulnerable and the innocent one inside of you, the inner child. Okay? Because if you don't know that's valuable, if you don't know how to fight for that, that is the first, a beautiful first step. So these strategies, using your voice, okay? It's all very proactive stuff I'm talking about today. I got tons of meditations that will help you detox from the energy of the trauma of the past. But the talk today, I wanted to convey the fierceness that it requires for the strategy that is needed to confront and 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 just step out of the noise, okay? You got to claim your territory inside of the noise. And when I say claim your territory, I also mean the shit you're consuming, not just food. I'm saying the media you're consuming. What are you filling your brain with? Okay? Now, we have to stay informed with the bullshit that's going on across our nation, the crazy ass laws trying to get passed. We have to, of course, be aware because when you want to dissociate from things like this, when you want to hide out and pretend like I'm just going to pray it away, I'm just going to focus on me, then you are also complicit to the atrocities that are actively happening right here around the planet. There are children being starved, there are people being targeted unfairly. We cannot, the heart centered people, please do not dissociate right now. Now's the time to engage, which is why we need our allies. We need not just prayer, but deep magic. Okay. And deep magic comes from your powerful connection to source and from understanding the allyship that's standing here right in the room for you to work with, to ally with, to partner with, to help protect your family, your purpose, your work, and to give you the strength and resilience that you need to shine and radiate your peculiar light, your weird ass messages into your communities, into your family, and into the world. But it is an army that's wakening up right now. There's an army of us. There's hundreds of people watching this. There will be thousands of people that are watching this. And I want you to personally commit to doing one of these things. If you're going to turn the other cheek, turn your other ass cheek, okay? Like, all right, kiss my ass if you don't like it, right? Jesus never said which cheek. He didn't say your face cheek. That one came from my ancestors one time in ceremony. My ancestors are freaking hilarious. Anyways, you know, some people see the turn the other cheek as an act of passivity. It's not about passive. It's about confronting oppression head on. Oh, you think you're gonna shut my ass? You think you're gonna shut my ass by being mean to me, calling me names, shunning me? Okay, I'll give you a cheek to smack. Here's my ass cheek, all right? Kiss it, because I'm gonna do me no matter what. I'm gonna do me. At a certain place, you guys, all sensitives are being required to do you. Otherwise, we get really depressed. And again, the emotions collapse, the toxicity collapses. Okay. So before I get to your questions, I want to tell you, if you haven't heard already, next Saturday, we're starting a 21-day practice. Okay. It's called the soul cleanse. It's so much more than that. Let me tell you about this 21 days because I don't think I wrote it anywhere. This 21 days was developed by radical practices that I did in my private practice back in the day. Okay. When I was seeing a lot of one-on-one, I essentially compiled all of these inquiries, all of these hardcore kick-ass angel healings, personal inquiries, and also I included work with ancestors and other allies, okay? Even animal spirits. I included other allies in all of this 21 days to help people knock out and deconstruct some of this freaking indoctrination that is invisible to most of us. So it's a deep personal inquiry, and it has created miracles in people's lives. People have dropped all kinds of conditions. It has empowered them. It has connected them more deeply to their allies around them. It has given their hearts resilience. It has given them profound clarity. They have dropped addictions. They've healed physical things, as all the work that we present does. Okay. And it's because the allies are real. The invisible posse is real. But this isolation thing that we do, this is the last weapon I want to talk about. Isolation is the enemy of the sensitive. When we're wounded and hurt, we like to collapse and separate ourselves from others. We need to not do that and come together, find safe and healthy community where you can express yourself and hear other people expressing themselves in healthy and real ways. Uh, but find community. If you don't have safe community in your community, in your home, find other people. We're a global community of people who are vibing on the shit I'm talking about today. A global community of us waking up, and we have to strengthen each other, period. Okay? We have to strengthen each other, because isolating yourself doesn't help you, and it doesn't help the people that need you. Okay? Those people that need you, need your voice, need you activated, it's not an option anymore. You will consistently collapse unless you feel like you're being proactive and you're connecting with other hearts that feel like yours. So this 21-day series helps a lot of people, dude. It just really does. And if you're in the mood to find your center in the midst of the loudness and the chaos, please check it out. Okay. Um, the website, I'll get you that in a second. Okay. Um, because I'm generally ill prepared. I go up, I talk to you guys and I riff, okay? But okay, the website is corengrillo.com/soul cleanse. Okay. It starts on the 9th, and it's so fun because we're gonna open up a Facebook group and then people start sharing all their cool shit that happens, the incredible insights and the allies. And we want to hear any cool messages that you guys are getting for our community, because it's how we feed each other. Remember, I said be careful with what the information you're taking in. Do something beautiful for yourself. Get reminded of your intrinsic power. But first, we got to deconstruct some of this shit. I know how to do it. Okay. That 21 days, will show you all kinds of weird nooks and crannies you never would have thought about. Okay, but I want to answer your questions. Amber, are you there? I want to answer, because these questions are so badass.
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And if you happen to have questions, we're going to try and see if we can get your questions. If you have some live, we're going to see if we can, but we have some that people filled out. So, how are we doing so far, Amber?
Good. I'm like sweating over here. Corinne, you're just kicking our ass. No,
I'm sorry. Is it too much? Oh my God. Am I too
it's
much?
awesome.
Am I too much? Do I have to show someone my butt cheek? Okay, kiss it then. If you don't like
I
it,
love it. I love it.
so it's so different than how I used to present, right? But like the times have changed, people. We don't we don't have the I don't know, the leisure to just to like be in the back channels now. We have to come to the forefront, arm up, and find a way to get stronger, resilient, and to let the we're going to feel the pain is the thing. It's not going to go away. But we can also feel convert it into power,
Mm,
convert it into activity. So I just want to stress that.
yeah. So cool. Okay, so we have some really juicy questions. So I'm going to hop over here. All right, so first we have a question from Jody, and she says, when working with the angels, do I have to do a spiritual practice every day for protection from the dark side? At the moment, I have disconnected from spirit and angels because I'm so scared of the dark side.
Yeah, okay. So here's what I want to say about the dark side. And if you've heard me speak on this before, please understand that it's the humans that are way scarier than the dark side. Okay. This is one of the ways that we get trapped and blocked from our power because we believe all the things we've heard. And when you do this work from your heart, from love, and you get really skilled at your own invocations, meaning you get skilled at calling in source energy and the allies of love to come and open your heart and detox you from that exact thing, detox you from fear. Because people, for those of us who are afraid of the dark side, it's because you do not understand the power of your heart. Your heart protects you. It's not the other way around. Okay. If you allow your heart to become fierce, and everybody can just try this exercise really fast. A lot of us have our heart pulse about here. Try and expand it past the room. Like fierce ass protection, your heart, that your heart field can really help. But a daily practice, it doesn't even have to be angels. If you're afraid of anything, connect with the force of love then, okay? But connect with something beautiful every day, especially if you're collapsed. Um, and if you are in a bid for power, meaning you are up leveling, call on love every day, okay? Ancestors, help me, help my dreams. And I teach you how to really do that in the soul cleanse as well. I teach you, some of the different things, but never do anything that makes you uncomfortable, but always question, why am I afraid and who taught me I should be afraid?
Mm, yeah. Whew. Okay. Awesome. All right. Let's see. Jacqueline asks, how do we best protect our energy if we are so sensitive?
Yeah, like I said, the best protection, first of all, is coming out of isolation. Okay. Like connect with other people. The more that we gather together and find like-minded souls, the stronger we feel, the stronger we're armed. Something else I want to say, it's less about protection and more about learning how to be resilient, okay? And so if you let this shit get trapped in your body, it's going to collapse us. So if you instead go, whoa, that was a launch assault at me, and you breathe it, you go, okay, wow, that feels like shit. You go outside. Nature is an incredible ally for the sensitives. Touch the ground and breathe. Breathe the shit out of yourself. Ask for peace in to receive peace. And as long as you keep an open circuit going, where yes, we're getting input, but it doesn't mean we have to hold on to the poison. We can release it. We have to actively remember that we are energetic beings and physical beings and learn how to work both those systems, the sun, the trees, the earth, the water. Okay. If you intentionally work with these things to help detox you, you will feel a natural resilience as our people did. As a matter of fact, the more that you ally with nature, the more interesting things become. Okay. Mosquitoes stop coming around you as much, and you can be sitting right next to someone, they're getting eaten alive, or all the tick. I mean, I've had this happen over and over again. So the more that you ally with your ancestors and you become in harmony with nature, the more that you acknowledge it as an alive being and as an alive presence, because she is alive and she's trying to help us. But if we stay in our little boxes and stare at our computers, we're not going to really get the real benefit. And it's super simple stuff. You just go outside and you say, hey, hi, everybody. Oh my gosh, I need help. And then leave an offering. Give them a little kiss on the tree. You can hug it, or you can give some candy, or give whatever you feel like. But reopen that relationship. It's an ancient practice and it's so wonderful.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So Julian says, I only recently realized I'm highly sensitive while studying the work of Gabor Mate. Do you think that identifying as a sensitive person can become a self fulfilling prophecy? Like my ego is attaching to this as my identity. I consider it a blessing and a struggle. I feel so much love and some hardships. It can be overwhelming.
Yes. Okay. Cheers on that. Blessing for sure. Struggle, hardship for sure. And isn't that just the nature of life? We have our blessings and we have our challenges. And the goal is to not just spiritually bypass and pretend like we don't have pain. It just comes with being in this 3D world and in these bodies, but also opening up to the empowerment of this. It's like, what are we learning from it? What are we gaining from it? And how can we not necessarily just forgive the past, but accept that's what's happened so that we can move on. As far as identifying as any one thing or the other, that does get into tricky territory. We don't have to wear these things like, okay, this is who I am now. It's just an acknowledgement of this is one of the slices of the pie that I am. And so what am I going to choose to do about it? And if it is a self-fulfilling prophecy, I highly recommend that, because as I said in the beginning, we need more sensitive people, but we also need more fired up people, empowered people to make their claim. to set their territory and to align and join with others who feel similarly, other people who walk in love and are willing to put their neck out on the line for love. They're willing to be hated, they're willing to be outcasted, uh, to say and do what is in alignment with their heart and soul. There's more of us out there. That's why we need community. So yeah, when it comes to any attachment, I mean, um, for me, calling yourself a sensitive is just a truth. It just is. Some of us are just waking up to how sensitive we are. And like I said, Big Mama's rattling us and going, "Come on, my babies. Remember who you are, right? Remember the heart and the love and seek more love. Create more love for yourself and for others." And that's what I mean by protecting the vulnerable and the innocent one inside of yourself and outside of yourself.
Mhm.
Great questions.
Yeah. Okay, we just have a couple more. Let's see. Julian also asks, are there ways I can sort out whether I am taking something personally, triggering a childhood wound, or if it's the sensitivity that makes the pain more difficult to bear, or are they all the same experience?
Oh, thank you. What a great question. A safe thing to do just to save you time and energy is just say yes to all of the above. It's all of those things. Okay. Maybe it's all. It's just because we spend so much time in our head trying to figure out the why. Why? What is it about me? Or it doesn't matter. The bottom line is you feel it. And what are you going to do about it? Right. And so when we bypass some of the figuring out head work and we just walk outside and go, man, okay, I'm really feeling this. And you approach spirit, approach the great power of love that is, whatever you want to call it, and say, I'm so hurt. Can you support me? Can you help me feel stronger through this? Can you help me see this for what it is? Get some objectivity. Can you help transform this into wisdom? And that's one of the things, our biggest wounds. When you learn how to be a good transformer of energy as it's just a holder onto of negativity, and spirit helps us with this. This is why having your allies and being an open conduit helps. Um, when you get really good at holding the trauma in a certain light, seeing it as a parent would see a tantruming child, holding it with love, it gives it an opportunity to transform into wisdom as opposed to just pain. But a lot of times when people harm us, it has nothing to do with us, really. It's just generations of bullshit that got caught up in their lineage and they're simply acting it out, just like we all are. This is why understanding ancestors and understanding how to work with them is also so important.
Yes, awesome. Okay, so we have one more, and it's from Anne. And she says, how is it possible to live with another person as a highly sensitive empath?
Okay, great question. Okay, so this one is easy. You just got to live with the right people. Okay, so get the slop out your territory. I don't care who they are. Okay, now if you happen to be caretaking, right? So let's say you have a teenager, I got a couple at home, they could be toxic AF. However, my love for them overrides that. Sure, I get butt hurt and I do take it personally when they're being just little punks, right? God damn those kids, right? But seriously, I love them. My love for them totally just trumps their most mean day. Okay. So if there's someone who you love, who you are indebted to, meaning an elderly parent, and perhaps they're going into dementia, they're not acting right, get support. Okay, for that kind of caretaking because it's very intense and get support. But you are not required to live with slop. Okay, so if it's someone that is actively harming you, but you still feel like you have to take the high road and you've been being gaslighted, make where someone feels like they're like this because it's your fault, fuck that noise and create a safe plan to extract yourself from that condition. So our homes should be sanctuaries, but that's not always available to us, because of economics or whatever. So Align yourself, ask spirit, do deep prayer, get your magic flowing through angels and your other allies to help you find living situations that are harmonious. And one angel that can help you with harmony is Archangel Raguel. So that frequency, when you, that medicine, that spiritual medicine that we are so gifted with to know about, can help you harmonize your vibration with toxic situations, including work situations. So if you, like I said, you have to be proactive, okay? Because when we're just like, oh God, that sucks, and just collapse, we're powerless. But if you show up fiercely, like a big cat, and you're like, oh hell to the no, what are we going to do about this? Sometimes your solution is just working a daily prayer, and it is freaking amazing what a little intention can do when you're aligned with your allies and spirit. So the more that you open up your heart and quit defending yourself, everybody, you don't have to protect yourself from the noise. Just create your territory around it, use your voice and be proactive, right? So I produce more media than I consume media. This brings my heart great peace. I create more than I take other shit in, okay? So that helps, just knowing that you're doing something proactively to be a voice of whatever it is that you want to be a voice of wisdom, a voice of love, a voice of beauty, or just crack a lot of jokes like I do. Okay. Okay. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well, you guys, thank you so much for listening today. I hope this helped you with something. Okay. I want you to think of one way, one weapon you can use to defeat one of those enemies that we talked about. Okay. Whether it's the isolation, the self-doubt, the other few that I mentioned. What's something that you could proactively do today to confront that? And please, if you liked today's talk and you feel like you have some stuff that you want to deconstruct, detox from, this soul cleanse is freaking so beautiful, especially if you commit to it and you actually do it. It's only 15 minutes a day, for Pete's sake. And half the time, I'm telling self deprecated stories about myself and my own life. It's horrifying for me, but it seems to help other people. But again, beauty is around us always. The strength and support that you need is here always. And invite your heart to become even more sensitive, so sensitive that it becomes stronger and more powerful to set the tone, set your life on fire in a whole different way. So again, oh, and I think we have a bonus for those of you who sign up. I think you get a free one-on-one healing with one of my intuitive healing graduates, or a reading. So if you're in a place in your life where you could use a little divine intervention and some messages, maybe some healing work, we're giving free 30-minute sessions away. I think it's to the first 20 people that sign up today.
Yeah, and I mean, these readings are always so badass. So
I
you guys
know.
should hop in on those. They're so cool.
I know. Do we happen to have any testimonials from the soul cleanse in the past, Amber?
Yeah, I've got a couple I can.
You got some available?
Yes.
Wild things happen for people.
Yeah, they're so cool. So a lot of them are just like Shirley says, she's like, this shit is really real. I'm changed from the inside out. I feel so different. I'm so grateful. And that's what Shirley said. And that's like, those come in. Gretchen says, I've never felt so free, so light in my whole life. Day number 12 is about removing bonds. And wow, she's like mind blown. Kathy said that the soul cleanse took me on a journey to rediscover my magic, something I've always had trouble believing in. I enjoyed envisioning every step of the process. I'm so thankful to embrace and restore my deep soul magic with the soul cleanse. That's
Oh,
Kathy. Yeah, I mean, it's just like Susan says, thank you so much, Corinne. These past 3 weeks have changed my life in ways I've never expected. I'm feeling excited for what's to come now in my life. The fact that I'm even thinking about the future now is amazing for me. So I'm sending so much gratitude. So,
oh, that's so
over the
sweet.
years, we have so many like that. It's seriously mind blowing.
Yeah, we have tons. So if you guys are even just struggling emotionally, please join us there. And again, coming together in community of just a bunch of kind of like just little weirdos that actually know that the other stuff is real, despite what we've been taught. But so much blessings and so much peace can come through that. So please do join if you're called or if you're listening. So again, the website is karengrillo.com/soul cleanse. I hope to party with you there. And I'm offering there's two different options. You can opt in for an option where I'm going to come in live because this is a recorded series where I'm coming in live 3 times for us to do face-to-face stuff. So you can ask me your live questions, and I'll probably unroll some other teachings, some deeper teachings, because I got a lot up my sleeve, and Spirit loves me to start talking about the other allies and how to work with them as well. So yeah, if you're interested in doing face to face and chatting with me directly, please join that one. I love meeting you guys personally.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay, guys, so hurry up so you can get that free one-on-one. I'm about to get myself one.
You're like, hey, maybe I need this too.
I know.
I know, me too, actually. All right. Love you guys. Thanks for listening. Mwah.
Bye.